The entire tech company froze. Screens went black, alarms blared, and the CEO, who once bragged he had backups for everything, stood pale, shaking. Millions of users were affected. Data was vanishing by the second, and his elite team of engineers was speechless. But just as chaos peaked, a soft voice spoke from the hallway. Asterisk, I think I know what went wrong. Everyone turned. It wasn't a senior developer. It wasn't a consultant. It was the janitor's 14-year-old son standing there with a worn-out laptop in his hand. Asterisk, what happened next? No one could have predicted. Asterisk, it was just another Monday. At Orbix Tech, a company known for its flashy software and powerful systems. The morning buzzed with meetings, typing, and coffee machines. The CEO, Mr. Carter, was in a meeting with investors, bragging about the company's unbeatable data infrastructure. But suddenly, everything changed. Lights dimmed, screens froze, and red error codes filled every monitor. The server room went quiet, then roared with alarms. Panic took over the office. Employees rushed from one desk to another, engineers shouted across the room, and managers picked up phones only to hear angry clients on the other end. Orbix's entire system had crashed, wiping out access for millions of users. Even the backup drives weren't responding. Mr. Carter's face went pale. This crash meant not only millions in potential loss, but also the collapse of the company's trust. He stormed into the IT department, demanding answers, but the top developers only looked at each other, confused and helpless. We've never seen this kind of loop error, one whispered. No one noticed the janitor's kid, Alex, sitting in the lobby, as usual, with his old backpack and cracked laptop, waiting for his dad to finish work. He looked up at the chaotic office, then quietly pulled out a notebook full of hand-drawn code diagrams. Upstairs, desperation grew. One of the lead engineers turned to Mr. Carter and said, "We might need outside help," but no one knew help was already there, sitting just a floor below, quietly watching, thinking, and already starting to solve the puzzle. At that moment, Orbix didn't need a genius with a PhD. It needed someone who saw things differently. And that someone was about to change everything, even if no one knew his name, yet while chaos thundered upstairs. Alex remained seated near the reception, quietly flipping through the diagrams he'd drawn over the weekend. Not for fun, but because he loved studying how systems work. He didn't have expensive software or fancy equipment, just curiosity, time, and an old laptop his father had rescued from the trash. From where he sat, he could hear panicked voices echoing down the staircase. A part of him wanted to help, but another part hesitated. He was just a kid, and nobody up there would take him seriously. Still, the patterns he overheard, keywords like loop failure, flooded memory, and phantom command made something click in his mind. He'd read about a similar bug in an online developer forum months ago, one that triggered a self-replicating code spiral. He pulled up his laptop and began testing what he remembered, creating a basic mock-up of the error using open-source tools. His fingers flew across the keyboard while his father, mopping a hallway, peeked around the corner and watched him with quiet pride. "What are you working on now?" he asked. "Just something I think they missed," Alex replied. Moments later, an assistant from the IT floor came down to refill her coffee, and Alex stopped her. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said nervously. "I think I know what's wrong with your system." She raised an eyebrow, unsure whether to laugh or ignore him, but something in his eyes made her pause. "You think you can fix what our best engineers can't?" she asked. Alex didn't answer directly. Instead, he spun his laptop around and pointed at the simulated bug loop. "If your code is triggering this behavior," he said, "you're not dealing with a failure. You're dealing with a runaway command." The assistant stared, stunned. This kid wasn't guessing. He knew the assistant, still stunned by Alex's explanation, didn't waste time. She grabbed his laptop and rushed him upstairs, past confused security and speechless employees. In the war room, a dozen engineers surrounded glowing monitors, filled with red warnings. The CEO, Mr. Cranford, was pacing like a caged lion. "What's this?" he barked as the assistant burst in. She motioned to Alex. "This kid, he thinks he's found the source." Everyone turned, some frowning, others snickering under their breath. "A janitor's son." Someone whispered, We're desperate, not delusional. But Alex stood, tall, hands steady, despite the pressure. He walked up to a terminal, requested access, and quickly replicated the error environment. In seconds, the screen filled with lines of code, but instead of panic, Alex calmly broke it down. Your system isn't broken, he explained. It's looping itself because of a misflagged command in the update push. It's not a failure. It's following an endless set of false instructions. Silence. One engineer leaned in, jaw tightening as he cross-checked Alex's findings. Another gasped. He's right. Mr. Cranford narrowed his eyes, then nodded. Fix it. Alex hesitated. I don't have clearance. A moment later, the lead engineer handed him a temporary admin badge. The room watched as Alex worked, fingers flying, rewriting a patch while bypassing the bug's trigger line. Within 5 minutes, the red screens faded, systems reset, and everything went quiet. Then came a cheer one voice at first, then the entire room. Alex stepped back, dazed by what had just happened. Mr. Cranford approached, looked him in the eye, and said, You just saved $1 billion company. Who taught you this? Alex looked at his dad, standing humbly near the door with a mop still in hand. He taught me to never stop learning, even when no one's watching after the chaos settled. The boardroom was no longer filled with tension, only awe. News of the system rescue spread like wildfire throughout the building. People who'd never noticed Alex before suddenly stared at him with admiration. Some even applauded as he passed, but Alex didn't care about the attention. He was only thinking about the quiet man downstairs who cleaned floors while others walked past him like he didn't exist. Mr. Cranford called for an emergency press briefing, not to protect the company's reputation, but to set the record straight. We were saved today, he told the room full of media, not by a consultant, not by a hired expert, but by a janitor's son. Reminded us that intelligence has no uniform. The story went viral within hours. Headlines called Alex the boy who outsmarted the system. Offers poured in from tech firms, schools, even investors. But Alex turned to his father and asked, Can we still walk home like we used to? His father smiled, proud but quiet. That night they walked together, side by side, as if nothing had changed, but everything had. The next morning, Mr. Cranford invited both of them back, not just to thank Alex, but to offer something more. He turned to Alex's father and said, You've raised a remarkable son. I'd like to offer you a new position, not because of what he did, but because of who you are. The janitor shook his head, then said softly, I'm proud of my work, sir. But if you're offering my son a chance to grow, I'm listening. Mr. Cranford smiled. I want him to intern here, and I want you both at the next leadership dinner. In that moment, titles faded, and dignity stood taller than status. Weeks passed. The company began to change, not just its software, but its spirit. People started greeting each other by name, including those who were once invisible. Janitors, receptionists, interns. Everyone mattered now. Alex, still in his school uniform most days, began attending team meetings and learning directly from senior engineers. He was quiet but curious, asking questions no one had thought of. He didn't speak like someone who wanted to impress. He spoke like someone who wanted to understand. One afternoon, during a company-wide innovation session, Mr. Cranford introduced Alex to the entire staff. He's not here because of a favor, he said. He's here because he earned his seat and reminded us that talent doesn't wear a title. Alex looked at his father, who stood in the back of the room, arms folded, proud but humble. For the first time, Alex took the mic. I used to wait outside this building after school while my dad cleaned floors, he said. I thought this place wasn't meant for kids like me. But I was wrong. It's not about where you start. It's about who sees you along the way. The room fell silent, not out of pity, but out of deep respect. From that day on, the company started a mentorship program, not just for Ivy League interns, but for kids from all backgrounds. Alex was the first mentor. And every time he passed the janitor's closet, he paused, smiled, and whispered, Thanks, Dad. Years later, long after his internship turned into a career, Alex kept his father's old name tag on his desk, not as a reminder of where they came from, but of the door that opened. and never closed again. That door was kindness, and it changed everything.